The great hall of the alien palace was filled with light from thousands of glowing crystals. Hanging high above, the walls were tall and smooth, made of a shining blue metal that reflected the colors of the crystals. Outside, many species from distant planets had gathered, coming to witness a moment that no one would forget. This was the day when humans and the alien kingdom of Xylaria would come together to sign a peace treaty. It was a new beginning for two very different worlds. Among the crowd, there was a small group of human guards. They wore simple uniforms, clean but plain, with no signs of high rank or power. One of them stood quietly near the entrance. His name was Tom. Tom was young and came from a poor family on Earth. He had joined the guard to serve his people and to protect others. But here, among strange aliens in their great palace, he felt small and unsure. Tom looked around nervously. He saw the alien queen, a tall figure dressed in flowing robes of deep purple and gold. Her skin was pale green, and her eyes shone like stars. She stood on a raised platform, surrounded by her advisors and guards. Her expression was cold and proud. She was the ruler of Xylaria and known across the galaxy for her strict rule and sharp words. The ceremony was about to begin. The hall fell silent as the queen raised her hand. Tom tried to stand straight, but his hands trembled slightly. He was afraid. He did not want to make a mistake in front of so many important people. Other guards looked at him with little respect, seeing only a poor human among powerful aliens. Suddenly, the queen spoke. Her voice was loud and clear, echoing in the hall. "Look at this weak human," she said, pointing her finger at Tom. "Why is such a low creature even here? Does your species have no pride? You shake like a child in the presence of greatness." A cold laugh spread through the alien nobles. Some clapped their claws softly in amusement. Tom's face turned red with shame. He wanted to disappear, but he stood still. He would not run away. The queen continued, "In my kingdom, there is no place for the weak. Humans think they are strong, but they are nothing compared to Xylaria." Tom swallowed hard. He remembered the stories from Earth about alien arrogance, but this was different. This was a direct insult in front of everyone. Yet, he did not answer. He believed that words could not show true strength. Actions would. The ceremony moved on. The queen signed the peace treaty with the human ambassador. Cameras floated in the air, recording every moment for millions back home. But Tom's mind was not on the event. It was on the queen's words and the faces of the alien nobles around him. He wondered if humans would ever be respected by such proud creatures. But deep inside, he felt a small fire of determination. He would prove them wrong. He would show that even a poor human guard could stand tall among the stars. After the ceremony, the crowd moved to the great dining hall. Alien food was placed on tables, strange smells filling the air. Tom stayed near the entrance, watching quietly. Some aliens passed by and whispered about him. "The weak one," they said. A joke among guards. Tom did not care. He only wanted to keep his duty. He knew his place was humble. But he believed in what humans could do when they worked together. Suddenly, an older alien with silver scales approached Tom. The alien's eyes were kind, but serious. "You have great patience," the elder said in a deep voice. "Many of your kind would have left after such insults." Tom looked up, surprised. "I am only doing my duty," he said simply. The elder smiled. "Sometimes, duty is more than a task. It is a test of character. Remember this." The elder walked away, leaving Tom thoughtful. Maybe the queen's words were meant to break him, but the elder showed that some saw more than what others did. That night, Tom lay on his cot in the guard barracks. The stars shone bright outside the palace windows. He thought about the queen, about the aliens who laughed, and about the human families waiting for peace. He wanted to be stronger, braver. The next day, Tom would face more challenges. But for now, he held onto one simple thought. Respect was earned by action, not words. He was ready to prove it. The day after the ceremony, the palace was quieter, but still busy with preparations. The peace treaty had been signed, but the real work was just beginning. Humans and aliens would now live side by side in Xylaria's kingdom. Everyone watched closely to see how this new alliance would grow. Tom returned to his post at the palace entrance. He stood tall, though inside he felt the weight of the queen's harsh words from the day before. He had no choice but to face the day with courage. His uniform was neat and his eyes alert. He was determined to do his best, no matter what others thought. As the day passed, the alien nobles moved through the palace halls, talking quietly among themselves. Some of them still glanced at Tom with thin smiles. The queen's insult had set a tone. Too many aliens. Humans were weak and simple. Tom noticed how a few guards nearby whispered and laughed when they thought no one was watching. Despite this, Tom focused on his duties. He checked the list of visitors, scanned faces, and watched for any trouble. His training helped him stay calm and ready. But inside, he wished for respect, not just for himself, but for all humans. Later in the afternoon, the queen held a small gathering for the court's high officials. Tom was not invited, but he had to stand outside the door, keeping watch. He could hear the queen's voice inside, cold and sharp. Humans must learn their place, she said. They are lucky we allow them here. Their species is weak and untested. If they cannot prove strength, they will be forgotten. Tom's heart tightened. He felt the sting of the words like a slap, but he reminded himself to stay silent. The queen was powerful. Anger or argument would only make things worse. A few moments later, the door opened and a group of alien guards walked out. They stopped when they saw Tom. One of them, a tall alien with dark blue skin and sharp eyes, smiled cruelly. So, the poor human guard stand still. He said loud enough for others to hear. Is this your strength? Shaking like a leaf in the wind, other guards laughed. Tom's face burned with shame, but he kept his ground. He looked at the alien calmly. I stand because it is my duty, he said firmly. The alien laughed again. Duty? You are a joke to us. You do not belong in this palace. Tom said nothing. He knew words would not change their minds. He waited for the guards to walk away before he moved again. As the sun set and the palace lights glowed softly, Tom found a quiet corner to rest. He thought about his life on Earth, about the people who trusted him, and about the hopes for peace between humans and Xylaria. He promised himself he would not let insults break his spirit. That night, Tom was not alone in feeling uneasy. Some of the alien advisors whispered to each other about the human guard who refused to leave his post. Despite humiliation, one of them, an elder with silver scales, remembered the look in Tom's eyes. A quiet strength that was rare among aliens. Perhaps humans are not as weak as the queen believes. The elder said softly, there is something in their spirit that we must watch carefully. The others nodded but said nothing more. The queen's words held power. It was difficult to change her mind. The next morning, the palace held a special event to honor the new alliance. Leaders from many worlds gathered to celebrate. Tom stood again among the human guards, ready to protect and serve. The queen entered the hall, her presence commanding silence. She walked past Tom without a glance. The crowd noticed and whispered. Why did the queen ignore the guard she had insulted? Tom did not know the answer, but he did not expect kindness. He stood quietly, watching as the queen spoke of strength, loyalty, and the future. Her words were proud, but Tom heard something else beneath them, a hint of doubt. After the event, Tom was ordered to escort a group of visiting diplomats through the palace gardens. The gardens were vast, with glowing plants and strange flowers that swayed even without wind. Tom had never seen anything like it. As they walked, one diplomat, a small alien with green skin and bright eyes, spoke to Tom quietly. You seem strong. The diplomat said, I do not understand why your queen insults you so. Tom smiled a little. I do not think all aliens see humans this way, he said. Some are kind, some are afraid. I try to show them who we really are. The diplomat nodded. You are brave. I hope your people find respect here. Tom felt a warmth in his heart. Maybe his courage was noticed, even if only by a few. He promised himself to keep showing the best of humanity, but not all was calm. Unknown to Tom, Trouble was brewing in the shadows of the palace. Some aliens did not want peace. They saw humans as weak enemies to be destroyed. Their plans were quiet but dangerous. Tom's simple duty as a guard would soon be tested in ways he never expected. His strength, patience, and courage would have to be more than words for now. He stood tall under the alien sky, ready for whatever came next. The palace had never been so quiet at night. The halls, which usually buzzed with voices and footsteps, were now silent except for the soft hum of the glowing crystals that lit the corridors. Tom was on his night watch duty. The others had gone to rest, but he stood alert by the main entrance to the Queen's chambers. His uniform was neat, and his eyes scanned every shadow. Tom knew that peace was fragile. The alliance between humans and Xylaria was new, and not everyone wanted it to last. Some aliens whispered against the Queen's rule and against the humans, but no one had yet dared to act openly. Until tonight. Suddenly, from the far end of the corridor, Tom saw a flicker of movement. At first, it looked like a shadow, but then more figures appeared, dark shapes moving quickly and quietly. They wore the uniform of palace rebels, known for their secret hatred of the Queen and her new allies. Tom's heart beat faster. He knew what this meant. The rebels wanted to capture the Queen. If they succeeded, the peace treaty would be broken. War could start again. He could not let that happen. Without hesitation, Tom reached for his communicator. Alert, intruders in the palace, request backup. His voice was calm but urgent. The rebels were almost upon him. They moved like ghosts, skilled and silent. But Tom had training too. He stepped forward and raised his stun baton, ready to defend the Queen and the peace. The first rebel lunged at Tom, but he dodged quickly and hit the attacker's arm. The rebel cried out and fell back. Others rushed forward, but Tom fought with everything he had. His hands were steady, and his mind was clear. The battle was tense and fast. Tom used his baton to block attacks and to slow down the rebels. He moved through the hallway like a shadow, protecting the Queen's door. He knew every second counted. As the fighting continued, Tom's communicator crackled. Reinforcements are on their way, a voice said. But the rebels were fierce. They were determined to take the Queen hostage. One of them pulled a small device from his belt, a jammer that would stop the palace alarms. Tom knew he had to act quickly. With a sudden burst of energy, Tom charged at the jammer. He hit the rebel hard, knocking the device to the floor. The alarms suddenly began to ring loudly through the palace. The sound startled the rebels. They hesitated, then started to retreat. Tom held his ground until the backup arrived, alien guards loyal to the Queen. Armed and ready, together, Tom and the palace guards chased the rebels through the halls. The attackers fled, knowing they could not win against the combined forces. When the danger was over, the Queen's guards locked the doors and secured the area. The Queen herself appeared, her face pale but proud. She looked at Tom with new eyes. "You saved my life," she said quietly. Tom, breathing heavily, nodded. "I was only doing my duty," he replied. The Queen took a step closer. Her voice was softer than before. "You are stronger than I thought, human." Tom did not answer. He only wanted to rest. The night had been long and dangerous. The palace slowly returned to calm. The Queen held a small meeting with her advisors. They discussed how to prevent such attacks in the future. The Queen insisted that humans like Tom must be trusted and respected for their courage. Meanwhile, word of Tom's bravery spread quietly among the palace staff. Some aliens who had once looked down on him began to see him differently. He was no longer just a poor human guard. He was a protector of peace. That night, as Tom sat alone in his room, he thought about what had happened. The Queen's insult from the ceremony still stung, but now there was something new. Respect. He knew the road ahead would be hard. The alliance between humans and Xylaria would face many tests. But for the first time, Tom believed that humans had a place in this alien world. And he was ready to fight for it. The sun rose slowly over the planet Xylaria, casting a soft golden light through the high windows of the palace. The halls were filled with activity once again, but something had changed. The queen's cold gaze had softened, and the air was different. News of the night's attack and the bravery of the human guard, Tom, had reached every corner of the palace. In the queen's private chambers, she sat quietly, staring at a small, smooth stone she always kept on her desk. It was a gift from her mother, a reminder to rule with wisdom and strength. Today, the stone felt heavier in her hand, as if it carried new meaning. Her advisor stood around her, waiting for her decision. The queen was known for her pride, but also for her ability to learn. After the attack, she had watched Tom carefully. He had saved her life without hesitation or fear. It was not just strength in battle, but something deeper: loyalty, courage, and honor. The queen spoke at last. This human guard, Tom, has shown a bravery I did not expect. His actions saved me and preserved the peace we worked so hard to create. One of the advisors, a tall alien with blue skin and wise eyes, nodded. Your Majesty, perhaps we judge humans too quickly. Their spirit is different from ours, but no less strong. The queen considered this. She remembered the ceremony when she had insulted Tom, thinking humans weak. Now she knew that strength was not only muscle or power, it was also in the heart and mind. She stood and walked to the window. Outside, the palace gardens glowed softly in the morning light. She thought of the future, a future where humans and Xylaria might work together, not as rulers and servants, but as equals. Later that day, the queen called for Tom. He was surprised when the messenger came to his quarters. The queen requests your presence, the messenger said. Tom's heart beat fast. He remembered the insults and the fight. He wondered what the queen wanted now. He dressed carefully and walked to the queen's chambers. The doors opened and he stepped inside. The queen sat on a tall chair, looking at him with steady eyes. Sit, she said simply. Tom obeyed. Standing near the edge of the room, the queen's face was serious but calm. I was wrong to insult you at the ceremony, she said. I judge you by your appearance and your species, but you proved yourself through your actions. Tom looked down, unsure what to say. I only did what I must, he said quietly. The queen smiled faintly. That is the mark of a true warrior. Strength is not always shown in words or pride. Sometimes it is shown in silence and duty. She leaned forward. Tell me about your people. What makes humans fight for each other? Why do you stand strong even when others doubt you? Tom thought for a moment. We come from a world full of challenges. We have wars and peace, but we always believe in helping others. We fight because we care. Sometimes we have little, but we do not give up. The queen listened carefully. Her eyes softened with understanding. You have much to teach us, she said, and I want to learn. Tom felt a strange warmth. The queen who had once insulted him was now showing respect and curiosity. It was a new beginning. After their talk, the queen ordered changes in the palace guard. Humans would no longer be treated as servants or weaklings. They would be trained and trusted as protectors of the realm. News of the queen's change of heart spread quickly. Some aliens were surprised. Others were angry that humans were being raised in status. But the queen was firm. She wanted peace. And she knew it would take more than words. Tom returned to his duties with a new sense of purpose. He was no longer just a poor guard. He was a symbol of hope for many humans. He trained harder, helped others, and prepared for the challenges ahead. At night, he often thought about the queen's words. She had asked him to teach her about his people. Tom knew that this was not just about him, but about the future of two species learning to live together. As days passed, Tom and the queen met often. Their conversations were honest and open. The queen shared stories of her kingdom, and Tom told tales of Earth. They built a bridge of trust between two very different worlds. Outside the palace, the stars shone brightly, reminding everyone that the universe was vast and full of possibilities. Tom knew one thing for sure. The harsh words of the past could not stop the hope that now grew inside him. The queen had changed, and maybe, just maybe, the world could change too. The palace was quiet in the early morning light. Tom sat on a small bench near the gardens, watching the soft breeze move the strange alien flowers. The peaceful scene was a sharp contrast to the tension he had felt only days before. Now, everything seemed different. Word had spread quickly through the palace halls. The queen, known for her strict pride and sharp tongue, had asked for Tom. It was unexpected and even shocking to many. Why would the queen want to speak with a human guard she once insulted? Tom wondered the same as he waited for the messenger to arrive. When the door opened, a young attendant entered, bowing politely. "The queen awaits you," he said softly. Tom stood and followed the attendant through polished hallways filled with strange paintings and glowing lights. Finally, they reached the queen's chambers. The large doors opened and Tom stepped inside. The queen sat behind a wide desk, her face serious but less cold than before. Around her were her closest advisors, but they gave Tom space. The queen motioned for him to sit. Tom took a seat carefully. His hands rested on his knees as he looked at the queen, unsure what to expect. For a moment, there was silence. Then the queen spoke. "I asked you here because I owe you an apology." Tom blinked. He had not expected that. "I only did my duty, Your Majesty," he replied softly. The queen nodded slowly. "I was wrong to insult you at the ceremony. I judged you by appearances and old beliefs. But your courage during the attack changed my mind." She paused and looked away briefly before meeting his eyes again. "I want to understand you better. Why do you risk so much for people you barely know? Why do you stand firm when others doubt you?" Tom thought carefully before answering. "We fight because we care about each other. Even when we are afraid or tired, we keep going for our family, friends, and strangers. It is not always easy, but it is who we are." The queen listened quietly. Her eyes seemed softer, filled with something like respect. "I want to learn from you," she said. "Not just about your strength, but about your heart." Tom felt a warmth inside. The queen who once mocked him was now showing kindness and honesty. He nodded. "I will share what I can." The queen stood and walked over to a small window. She looked out at the palace grounds. "I will change how humans are treated here," she said firmly. "No longer will they be seen as weak or less. They are our allies and friends." Tom smiled. It was a promise that meant more than words. For years, humans have been seen as outsiders, not worthy of respect in the alien worlds. Now, the queen was willing to change that view. Over the next few days, changes began. Human guards were given better training and equipment. They were included in important meetings and allowed to speak freely. Tom helped teach other humans how to work with aliens and understand their ways. The queen visited often. Sometimes she asked questions about Earth, about human customs and ideas. Other times, she simply watched as humans and aliens worked side by side. One afternoon, as Tom showed the queen a small garden where earth plants were growing, she smiled. "These plants remind me of home," she said softly. "Perhaps, one day, we will share many things between our worlds." Tom nodded. "That is what I hope for." The queen's advisors watched these moments with surprise. Many had never seen their queen so open and curious. They whispered that the queen's heart had truly changed. Tom knew that respect was growing, but he also knew there were still challenges ahead. Not everyone in Xylaria's kingdom accepted the new alliance. Some groups still resisted, afraid of change. But for now, Tom felt hope. The queen's apology and her desire to learn meant that a new chapter had begun. It was not just about peace on paper, but about real friendship and trust. That night, Tom sat quietly in his room. He thought about the journey from humiliation to respect. He remembered the queen's words and his own promise to show the true strength of humanity. Outside, the stars shone brightly. Tom knew the future was uncertain, but he was ready to face it with courage and hope. The palace buzzed with activity as the days passed since the queen's change of heart. News of the human guard Tom's bravery and the queen's apologies spread through the halls. Like wildfire, the alliance between humans and Xylaria was slowly growing stronger, but the road was still full of challenges. Tom was now more than a guard. He was a symbol of hope and a bridge between two very different worlds. His actions had earned him respect from some aliens, though not all were ready to accept change. Yet, Tom remained humble, focused on his duty and the promise he made to help build a better future. One morning, as the sun poured warm light into the palace gardens, a special invitation arrived for Tom. It was written in the elegant script of the Queen herself. The message was simple but clear. The Queen wished to meet him privately. Tom's heart raced with a mixture of pride and nervousness. He knew this meeting was important. He dressed carefully and made his way to the Queen's chambers, following a young attendant who guided him through the shimmering corridors. When Tom entered the room, the Queen was waiting. She sat calmly on a chair, her posture relaxed but regal. The room was quiet, filled only with the soft sound of distant palace life. "Please, sit," the Queen said softly. Tom took a seat across from her. For a moment, neither spoke. The Queen's eyes studied Tom's face, searching for the right words. Finally, she spoke. "Tom, I come to you not just as a queen, but as someone who wishes to make amends. I ask for your forgiveness for the harsh words I spoke at the ceremony." Tom looked at her calmly. He had expected this moment but was unsure how to respond. "Your Majesty," he said, "I accept your apology. I understand the weight of your position and the pressures you face. I did not seek honor for myself, only to serve." The Queen nodded, a small smile appearing on her lips. "Your humility is rare and admirable. You have shown me the true meaning of strength." She stood and walked to a small table, where she picked up a finely crafted medal. The medal glinted in the light, shaped with symbols of both human and Xylarian cultures. "This is a token of respect," she said, returning to her seat. "It is my honor to present it to you." Tom's eyes widened in surprise. He had never expected such a gift. He rose carefully and accepted the medal with both hands. "Thank you, Your Majesty," he said quietly. The Queen's smile grew. "This medal is more than decoration. It represents the bond between our peoples and the hope for a peaceful future. Wear it proudly." As Tom looked at the medal, he felt a deep sense of pride, not for himself alone, but for all humans who have fought to prove their worth. The Queen continued, "I want to assure you and your people that from this day forward, humans will be treated as equals here. We will work together, learn from one another, and build a future based on respect." Tom nodded. "That is the future I want as well." After the meeting, Tom left the Queen's chambers with a light heart. The medal hung around his neck, a symbol of forgiveness and respect. He knew the road ahead would still be difficult, but now he had the Queen's support and the hope of many others. Back in the guard barracks, Tom showed the medal to his fellow human guards. Their faces lit up with pride and hope. They knew that change was real and that their place in the galaxy was no longer uncertain. The palace began to feel more like a home. Humans and aliens worked side by side, sharing stories, learning each other's ways, and preparing for the future. Tom often joined discussions with the Queen and her advisors, offering his thoughts and ideas. One evening, as the stars sparkled in the sky, Tom stood on the palace balcony, looking out at the city below. The lights of Xylaria twinkled like stars. Themselves, he felt a deep connection to this world, once strange and frightening, now filled with promise. The Queen joined him quietly. She looked at the medal around his neck and then into his eyes. "You have changed more than this palace, Tom," she said. "You have changed me." Tom smiled softly. "And you have changed the future for all of us." They stood side by side, in silence, two leaders from different worlds united by respect and hope. The medal glimmered in the moonlight, a symbol of the journey from insult to honor. It was a reminder that even the harshest beginnings could lead to new and powerful friendships. The day of the next grand ceremony had arrived. The palace was alive with excitement and color. Banners of both human and Xylarian symbols hung proudly from every pillar. Visitors from many worlds gathered once again, eager to witness the progress of the alliance that had started only weeks before. Tom stood at the front of the human guard line. His uniform was polished, and the medal from the Queen hung around his neck. He stood tall, no longer the nervous young guard who had been insulted at the first ceremony. Now, He carried the honor of two species on his shoulders. The queen entered the great hall, her presence commanding attention. This time, her eyes sought out Tom as she walked past. She gave a small nod of respect, a silent recognition of his courage and dedication. The crowd noticed and whispered with surprise and approval. As the ceremony began, the queen took the stage. Her voice was strong but kind as she spoke of unity and respect. Today, we celebrate not just a treaty, but the bond between our peoples. Humans have shown courage, loyalty, and strength. They stand as equals among us. She turned to Tom and said, "For your bravery and dedication, I honor you with this medal. May it remind us all that respect is earned through actions, not words." The crowd erupted in applause. Tom stepped forward and accepted the medal once more, feeling a deep pride. Round him, human and alien faces shone with hope and trust. After the ceremony, Tom walked through the palace gardens. The strange alien plants swayed gently in the breeze. He felt a calm peace he had never known before. The harsh words of the past seemed distant now. The queen approached him quietly. "You have done more than protect me," she said softly. "You have helped build a future where our peoples can live together in peace." Tom smiled. "We still have much to learn from each other, but I believe we will grow stronger." She nodded. "Yes, together." As they walked side by side, Tom felt the weight of his journey from the poor human guard who was insulted to a respected hero standing before royalty. It was a journey of courage, patience, and honor. The queen stopped and looked at him. "Thank you, Tom, for showing me what true strength means." Tom bowed his head respectfully. "Thank you, Your Majesty, for seeing it." From that day on, humans and Xylarian aliens worked side by side, sharing knowledge, culture, and friendship. The palace was no longer a place of division, but a symbol of hope for many worlds. Tom's story became known across planets, a tale of how one human's courage changed an empire and brought the species together. It reminded everyone that respect is never given freely, but earned through kindness and bravery. The stars shone bright over Xylaria, a silent witness to a new bond that would last for generations. Tom looked up at the sky and smiled, knowing that this was only the beginning.